Justin Trudeau's botched response to COVID-19 and the recovery. Hi, I'm Brian Lilly, political columnist with the Toronto Sun. Had a chance to speak with Conservative leader ERIN O'TOOLE recently about the fact that from the beginning, Justin Trudeau has messed up the COVID-19 response, whether it was dealing with the border, whether it was getting rapid testing approved, or even approving the CERB. Did you know that the CERB ran out a week before they started trying to pass the bill to find a replacement for the program that millions of Canadians relied upon for their financial well-being? Talked about that and much more with ERIN O'TOOLE.
The fact that they announced it 2 days after proroguing the House, doesn't that show that, I mean, they had a plan all along that they were going to change CERB, that something was coming, and they just wanted you and your pesky caucus colleagues out of the way.
Absolutely. Well, remember at the beginning of the pandemic, Brian, they didn't want any parliament review of spending decisions or executive orders for 2 years. That is their own natural instinct, is they know what's best for Canadians. How dare you question the natural governing party of Canada? And if you look at everything from 2 months late on closing the border, late on the wage subsidy, botching the rent assistance, only 10% of small businesses qualified. Their response to COVID-19 first wave was terrible. And I think Canadians need to know the Conservatives will be smarter and more effective, and we'll put them first.
When it comes to how the Conservatives and the New Democrats and the Bloc, I've given you all credit for how you responded back in the spring. There were suggestions from all the parties on how to improve the bill, because nobody is against giving help to Canadians. None of the parties want to say, yes, we're going to shut down the economy, but you're on your own, buddy. They're all looking to say, here's how we can help, here's how we can make it better. Did they do any outreach to the opposition when they came up with this replacement for CERB? Were they willing to listen beyond that one trade-off they had to do with the NDP to get their vote for the throne speech?
No. In fact, they have not listened throughout. Conservatives started talking about closing the border to flights from China at the end of January, Brian. They were attacking us, calling us names, saying we're intolerant for saying we needed to control border entry to stop the spread of the virus. So they have changed their own position on coronavirus. They canceled the early warning system. They messed up the wage subsidy, and that led to tens of thousands of more people losing their jobs and having to use CERB. So they should be reaching out more, but I think Canadians need to know Conservatives are going to put families, small businesses first. We're there to help, but we need jobs. We need prudent spending over time. We need confidence in the private sector again. That's what they're going to see with an ERIN O'TOOLE-led government.
Help me out with this. Since you brought up the border issue and coronavirus, we've got Quebec going into basically a second lockdown for their largest cities. Toronto's public health officer is calling for people only to be able to leave their homes for essential trips. And then you've got the federal government opening up the border again. Yes, it's in a limited fashion, but Canadians, I think, are rightly confused by conflicting messages from various levels of government as they deal with this. I'm not saying that there should be one central voice for the entire country. That's not how Canada works. But it seems like issues like the border are being decided on a political nature, not a scientific one, at both closing it and now opening it.
Well, we saw even when it was closed, they were giving ministerial exemptions to corporate billionaires to fly in, fly out. There seemed to be one standard for the Friends of the Liberal Party and one standard for families that were separated by the border that were volunteering to go into quarantine. So there's been no fair response to this. The biggest shortcoming really, Brian, has been the lack of rapid testing. That makes decisions at borders and airports harder. That makes decisions for families about sending kids to school. That makes it hard for workforces to determine who's been exposed and who is going to test positive. There's been tens of thousands of people waiting in lines because we have no rapid testing that the Prime Minister said was his priority in March. So if we're at the back of the line, that shows the Liberals have failed on the rapid testing front.
Let us know what you think of the conversation, what I said, what ERIN O'Toole said. You can drop a comment below, or make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, and share this information wherever you enjoy social media.